You know that feeling you get when you finish a book and you think, of course, it had to end that way. There was no other way. But I never saw it coming. As writers, if you're like me, we all want to have these brilliant, brilliant endings, ones that feel sort of both inevitable and unexpected. I love endings that make me gasp and close the book slowly and sit there for a second and just think about it and go, wow. So today, that's what we're talking about. I'm breaking down how to create those types of endings that surprise readers but also feel completely earned. We'll look at a few examples and hopefully it will give you some new inspiration to tackle those endings. Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Bourbon, best-selling author of 35 plus novels, writing coach, founder of Writer's Spark Academy, etc., book cover designer. Thursdays here on Bourbon and Books are all about craft. And this topic, endings, is one of my favorites because great endings aren't necessarily about plot twists, although they can be. They're about ultimately fulfilling reader promises. Stick around to the end for my favorite exercise to test whether or not your story's ending really earns that, of course, aha moment. The secret to inevitable but unexpected ending is the tension between two truths. So the reader feels like the story could not have ended any other way, but at the same time, they didn't see it coming. So the big question is, how do you accomplish this as a writer? And it's a very good question. I see it as about planting the right seeds along the way and planting them early. Let's look at The Sixth Sense, which is a classic example of the unexpected but inevitable ending. When you rewatch it or when you realize what actually happened there at the end, you also realize that every clue was right there all along. It's shocking, but it's also very fair. And you're like, wow, how did I miss that? Pride and Prejudice, another one of my favorites, has another great and unexpected sort of inevitable ending. We all hope that Elizabeth and Darcy are going to end up together. But Jane Austen makes us doubt it. I mean, it could have ended with a not happily ever after. So that inevitable ending feels really good. I love to think of it like this. The ending surprises your head, but satisfies your heart, right? Isn't that great? Now, let's talk about foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is your best friend, but subtlety is really, really key. In my book, House of Spells and Secrets, there is a magic element that comes into play. And although the reader knows about this magic, it certainly isn't clear how it can possibly help resolve things. So when that happens, it is a surprise to the reader. But it's also an aha moment of like, oh yeah, of course, that totally makes sense. Oh, it was the only way things could have played out. If I had kept that magic completely hidden until the end, it would have felt kind of like a cheat, I think. And if I had explained it all too early, then the mystery, I think, would have died way too early. So there needs to be a balance. Readers need to sense that something big is coming, even if they can't quite identify it or name it. Using twists is another way to create that awesome ending. Twists sometimes get a bad reputation, but it's because a lot of them don't really work. They're out of the blue, or they don't make sense, or they're kind of like an easy way out for the writer. A twist, in order to work, has to feel inevitable in hindsight, like The Sixth Sense. Let's look at Gone Girl as an example. When Amy's reveal happens, you are super shocked, right? But you also realize that every piece of her character made it make perfect sense. Atonement is another good example. The final reveal is totally heartbreaking because it fits so perfectly with the story's theme of guilt and storytelling. I don't see how it could have ended in any other way and been satisfactory for me as a reader. In House of Spells and Secrets, I used the family curse and the truth about the triplets' power to reframe everything the readers believed about the family's history. So it is a twist, but it's one that makes you look back and go, oh, of course, that's the kind of emotional payoff we want. Next is fulfilling the emotional promise. Here's the biggest mistake I see as an editor. Endings that solve the plot, but not the emotional promise. This is so, so important because readers don't just want answers. They want emotional resonance. This is why we read. So if your protagonists begin as broken or proud or fearful or lost, the ending needs to complete that emotional arc for them, not just tie up the loose ends of the external goal. That's the hero's journey in action, or the growth the character undergoes throughout the story. This also fulfills readers' expectations, gives them satisfaction. So let's look at the Hunger Games. Katniss wins the games in book 1, but the real victory is in her reclaiming agency in a system that is sort of built to control her. So this is what makes the ending feel inevitable. It's a natural emotional consequence of her journey. So you, as the architect of your story, really need to think about your protagonist's journey and make sure the ending is inevitable for them because of the journey that they're on and the growth that they go through. Okay, I told you I had a way to test if your endings work. So this is my simple 3-question ending test. When I am revising and when I'm editing a project, I use these 3 quick questions. Did I deliver on the story's central promise? If I didn't, then I need to go back, figure out where I went wrong, and rework it. An ending must deliver on the central promise. The next question is, did I resolve the emotional arc, not just the external conflict? Stories resonate with readers because of the emotional power behind it. The external conflict drives the story, but readers want to connect with the emotional arc. If I don't have an emotional arc that is strong enough or that is resolved, I know my ending is going to be pretty flat, and I'm going to know my readers really aren't going to care. If I don't care because I haven't tapped into that emotion, then they're not going to care. Third is, does the ending feel earned? Like all the clues and all the choices and all the emotions led there to that ending. This is so important. This is where foreshadowing plays such an important role. You have to give the reader enough information along the way and the protagonist enough conflict to push through and grow in order for them to earn their resurrection or their reward, and for the reader to feel satisfied by it. I love Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Percy has to find 3 pearls in order to get his mother out of the underworld. If it had been only 1 pearl, that's just way, way too easy, right? 2 is better, but still not quite enough to feel like he learned enough or he grew into his power as a demigod to defeat the final obstacle or, defeat the villain and get his mother out of there. 3 is that magic number, power of 3, that helps the reader feel that Percy earned the win. So really, think about whether or not the resolution of the conflict in your story feels earned. If the answer to these 3 questions, did I deliver on the story's central promise? Did I resolve the emotional arc? And does the ending feel earned? If the answer to all 3 is yes, then you have your inevitable but unexpected ending. The big takeaway here is to remember that great endings aren't actually magical. They don't happen because you pulled a rabbit out of a hat. They come from earning the payoff. So when the reveal lands, readers feel surprised and deeply satisfied. It takes some thought and some finessing of your plot to get there. I hope this has helped. Endings can be really tough. I rewrote the ending for House of Spells and Secrets a few times until it really came together and I got it right. So it takes time. If you liked this video, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss next week's Craft Thursday. We are going to be digging into a new series all about character. And if you are working on your own novel, check out my How to Write a Novel course. It takes you through all the elements of novel writing step by step. The link is in the description, so check it out. Until next time, happy writing.
Ain't never needed Poppy's blessing, no. You need keep working just to get it, though. I know she carried your whole world.